Have you recently purchased a new or used vehicle? Or perhaps you are researching for a new or used vehicle, but you're wondering how to set up and use all the technology that we find in a driver's information system and the infotainment screen. If so, you're at the right place. Hi folks, I'm Nathan with Two Guys in a Ride, and today I'm going to show you how to do just that. But before I do, take a moment to give us a like and hit that subscribe button down below. Let's get started. Alright, welcome to our how-to video on the 2021 Corvette C8. This is in particular a how-to video on the driver's information screen and the infotainment screen. So, to begin with, we're going to start with the driver's information screen. So, it is a fully digital screen. It's right around 12 inches as measured diagonally, and there is nothing analog in it whatsoever. And there are a whole bunch of ways to customize this thing. So let's get started. The first thing I'll tell you is that to customize, just to change the look quickly, switch drive modes. So if I go to the mode button, which is underneath the little nice hand rest with it says mode on it, in the middle it's got a rotary dial. Okay, and I just go one to the right, and I get sport, see the change. If I go again, I get track, changes it again. Here's tour. And here's my mode. Here's weather. And that's the end. So that's the quickest way to change your screen and how it looks. All right. To access all the information basically that's in the driver's information screen, you're going to use the controls on the right side of the steering wheel. And basically you have up, down, right, left. And when I say up, down, I'm talking about this rotary knob here. This actually is not a button. Okay, so I am going to go and I'm going to push to the right. Okay, so now actually, I'm going to go to the left. You see the little titles, performance, trip computer. Okay, so you're going to see all those little white dashes on top. Okay, that means I got things that I can scroll to and look at. And then you're going to notice there's some little buttons or little lines on the far right of the screen. Okay, meaning I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different pages that I can look at in here. So here we go. Trip computer. So I can look at trip 1. I can look at trip 2. I can look at trip or fuel economy. I can look at trip timer, and I can have current drive cycle. Okay, now to do anything else I need to go back to the right and switch the menu. Here I'm at performance, and I've got 3 things that I can do. So the first one is I got a performance timer, and all I have to do is accelerate to start. Okay, lap timer. You have to use this in conjunction with the performance data recorder I'll be showing you on the infotainment system. And down here, G meter. All right, so that's fun. That's fun to watch. All right, so then I come over here to the right, and I've got audio. So audio, when you flip to this screen, if you use the favorite buttons that are on the far left of the steering wheel, you can then toggle through all of your favorites, and you'll see them in the screen. And all you got to do is stop on one of them, and, well, okay, the subscription's expired, but it would go to that channel. All right, I'm going to go one more to the right here. Maintenance. Okay, so I can look at engine life, I get revs, I get hours, I get idle hours. Go down, I got one more thing here. Engine oil and transmission fluid. All right, I'm gonna go one more to the right again. Options, display design, info tile selection, speed warning, units, tire pressure, heads-up rotation, remote key relearn, and software licenses, and then a reset to defaults in case you completely mess up. So here we go. Display design. And I just clicked on this wheel. I can link the display to the drive mode, which is what you saw earlier. I can link it to tour, I can link it to sport, I can link it to track, I can link it to weather, and I just have to press this to hit OK. Now, I don't want to do that, so I am just going to press the left arrow to get out of that. I'm going down to Info Tile selection. We're going to go into Sport Plus, I think is what I need to be in. Yep. Okay, do you see all these 4 windows on the left? You've got oil pressure, you've got engine temperature, you've got your tire pressure monitoring system, and then you've got oil temperature. First of all, you can only have 4 tiles, so I have to deselect all the tiles. And then I can go here and I can say, and it shows you where it's putting them. So the first one goes on the top left. So I can have battery voltage. I can have the ELSD coupling show up there, instant fuel economy, lateral G-forces, oil pressure, oil temperature, tire status. So it just depends on what you want. So I'm gonna go ahead and put back what they had, and I'm gonna put down tire pressure. All right, now, what I do then is I go and say, well, what's the second one? Do you notice that now it's going to fill up the second block? So on this one, I'm putting oil pressure is the first one I want, oil pressure. And then it changes. Now I'm doing the third one, which will be down in the corner. And then over here, we'll do oil temperature. So that's how you adjust those tiles. So they are customizable when you're in sport mode. They're not just static. You can change them. All right, so I am going to press the left button here to get out. We were in Info Tile selection. That's where we just were in. So I'm going to get out of there. Speed warning. Enable. So if I click it again, it disables it. Click it again, it goes enable. If I enable and I go down to speed and I click on it, I can set how high above the speed limit I want to get before I get a speed warning. That's what that's for, letting you know you're speeding. All right, so let's see. Let's go back. Let's use the left arrow. This is kind of your back button. You can change your units down here. So you got US or metric. Just rotate this dial, then click on the appropriate one. I'm gonna go back here. Tire pressure. Okay, we've already seen this, but I'm just gonna press that to cancel because I don't want it. But you can teach it to relearn the tire pressures if you think it's wrong. Heads up. This has an amazing heads up display. So you can see what's gonna happen here. I am going to use my arrows, my scrolling wheel here, to change the angle of the HUD. Now the thing is, you might say, well, why in the world are you doing that? Because everybody sits at a different angle in a seat, and they know that. So they put this tilted so you can slant it so that it looks straight to you. All right, that was HUD rotation. I'm gonna go back right here. And we got to go one more. So simplify. Let's say you're driving, you're like, oh, there's just too much of this digital stuff on the screen. Well, just click here. And there it goes. Now you only have your gear selector and your speed and a colorful RPM gauge. And now we're back to the normal screen here. So, I mean, just a really, really nice setup here in the new Corvette. I love it. I like how they've made that digital dash. I think that makes so much sense because it's configurable. Are there other dashboards out there that are more configurable? Yes. But you know, this gives you just enough without giving you too much. And so hopefully this is helpful to you. My last thing that I wanted to show you, because I just like it, is on the steering wheel. Of course, you have the Z mode button. We're going to take a look at it in the infotainment screen and tell you how to set it up. But Z mode adjusts, you can adjust your steering, your throttle, your brake, and so forth. So it's kind of like having a my mode, but if I press it, it goes instantly into Z mode, and it has its own special dashboard look. So you need to pass somebody on a fly. Well, you don't want to reach down and rotate that dial and find your My Mode. You just want to press a button and be there instantly. Now you can go. All right, you're done. You're past the person. You're done having your fun. Click the Z button and it all just goes away. So that's slick. So basically what they did is they take My Mode and they made it clickable with a button. Now, again, on this car, you'll see in the coming video here on the infotainment screen, My Mode is limited as to what you can change. Z Mode gives you more options of things to change and customize. But both do exactly the same thing. It's just that Z Mode you can turn on with a push of a button here, and that is just really cool. Smart move there. All right, so moving over to the infotainment screen, this is an 8-inch Infotainment System 3 from GM, and it works the same way we've seen in all of the other new GM products. It's a very, very nice setup. It's very fast. We do have wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, Bluetooth, AM, FM, HD radio, Sirius XM, and of course a 4G Wi-Fi LTE hotspot. Now, it does have a very nice Bose audio system as well. Okay, so you got two physical buttons. You've got a volume, and then you have a push for power. Or a quick push is mute, and then a push and extended hold is power. Okay. Now, you have a home button, which brings you to either this screen, or that one. So and you can just swipe back and forth between these. Okay, so on the bottom you have a bunch of shortcuts, the most commonly used things. So you do have a home button, just like this is. You have a mute volume, you've got a phone, you've got navigation, and you have got climate. All right, so let's just start with audio. So if I just click on audio, I get my basic sources right here, kind of the last things I might have listened to. So you got Bluetooth, you got Sirius XM, you got a phone there. If I go to more, then I've got AM, FM, Sirius, and Bluetooth, Sirius XM and Bluetooth. Now this does have a wireless charger, which to us just makes sense. When you have wireless Apple CarPlay or wireless Android Auto, the vehicle ought to have a wireless charger. Okay, so that's sources. Now, to tune, let me turn this down here. Okay, to tune things, you got a couple of options. We're in Sirius XM, but it works pretty much the same way for AM and FM. If I just go here, I can just click and go through different stations, or I can go to tune, and I can actually enter a station. Okay, and then hit go. Well, that's unauthorized, so I can't go there. Now, I can also enter a channel, and I can start as a favorite. Now, I'm going to unstar that because it's not my car, but that's how you would start and make that one a favorite right from the tuning page. All right, I'm going to go back here. If you want to adjust the sound, you got a button right there for sound. You can do equalizer, fade and balance, and sound mode. All right, let's go back here. So now, I showed this is all Sirius XM, and I said it was the same for AM and FM, so let's just take a look at those quick, because there you go. So you got your same tuning buttons, you got the same sources, you got sound, browse. You do have a button to turn HD radio on or off. Okay, now, quickly back to here, back to FM, just want to show you the same buttons. So everything works the same way in the radio. The one thing I didn't show you was how to save a favorite. Okay, so what you do is you find a radio station, we'll say 101, and you're going to push and hold, and there it is. Now 101 is saved as a favorite. Okay, so I can use, there's two favorite buttons on the left side of the steering wheel. There's one that has the arrow points up, one that arrow that points down, and you can use those to go through your favorites. And by the way, your favorites will include FM, AM, and Sirius XM. It'll be all three of those together in your favorites. All right, let's go to home. Let's talk about phone. You see how fast the system is? It's a really nice system that General Motors has put together here. All right, so I don't have my phone connected, and I'm not going to connect it, but you've got favorites, keypad, recents, contacts, and then how many phones are connected, and you can then select which one you want to be the one that's connected. So if you're traveling with somebody else, and they're in the passenger seat, but you want them to have the priority, you can switch that there. And that way, when a phone call comes in, their phone goes through the system and their music goes through the system. Okay, let's go back to home. This is where you would do a Wi-Fi hotspot setup. Navigation, okay, really nice. So you can pinch and zoom. You can rotate if you want. You can also just use the more physical buttons and do the plus or minus. You can hit recenter. You can hit these three buttons. What they do is they allow you to change your view from 3D heading up, 2D heading up, or 2D north up, and then back to 3D head up. Okay, what do you want to see on your map? When you travel around, for instance, do you always want to know where fast food is? If so, just click on whatever it is that you want to show up on your map all the time, and it's going to. So whether you've got a route plotted or not. So I'm going to turn those all off, as of course, again, this isn't my car, but that's how you would say what to show on the maps. Okay, you can edit destinations here. Of course, we don't have one. And you can go into settings. Now, this is like a one-time shopping trip here. So you're going to go into here, you're going to set up stuff once, and you'll probably never touch it again. But for instance, set up My Places. Automatically show My Places on startup, so you can have home and you can have work, and you can program it into 2 addresses that will automatically show up. Okay, map preferences. What colors? You want auto? You want it light? You want it dark? Right? 3D landmarks on or off. 3D buildings on or off. Show terrain in 3D, and again, you would just click, and then you could click it again to turn it off. All right, what is the magnifying glass for? Well, the magnifying glass is to help you type in an address. Here we go, search. Okay, and I'm going to select number 3. And I can mark it as a favorite. I can call it, I can look at different routes, or I can just hit go. Now, one of the great things
will start now.
One of the great things about this new infotainment system from GM is that they have the cancel button right there. So when you want to cancel a route, it's easy as pie. You just reach up there.
Route guidance is now finished.
Yeah. Now, they even give you the option to resume the trip if you want, which I think is pretty amazing. Now, what if you wanted to use voice command? Well, that button's on the right side of your steering wheel. And if you press it, you can also, even easier, program a route.
What would you like?
Find McDonald's. Hey, and that's the same thing we saw before. You can hit go, and then when you want to cancel, you can just hit cancel.
Route guidance is now finished.
All right, let's go back to home. And we're going to go down to users. This is where you would set up a profile. The nice thing about that is GM says that you can then take that profile, and if you go into another car with the same Infotainment System 3, you can use it. It stores it in the cloud, and then it recognizes. You can hop in. So if you rented another Corvette C8, you could just get in with your key, and it would set everything for you, which is just really awesome. All right, now you got this would light up if we had Apple CarPlay functioning. This would light up if we had Android Auto functioning, which we don't. You got OnStar services. You do have all climate buttons down on the that ridge that comes down, but you can go into the infotainment screen as well, and you could do them. But really, they're all right there. This is just kind of redundant. So you can go to the camera. Got a great camera system. All right, so this is the front down view. You can see that right here. And then you've got the rear wide view. You have got the rear narrow view. All right, so this one gives you sort of like a right side, left side, and straight down. So 3 views kind of in one. If I'm on this one or this one, all right, I don't think it comes on this one, but let's go to this one. I can turn on guidelines, okay? And they are dynamic, so they move with the steering wheel. And the same thing works on this one. It won't on this one because it's just a top-down view, and it won't work on this one because, again, it really makes no sense. But a super nice camera system. I'm going to press the home button. I'm going to get back to this in a second, but if I go back over here and I go into settings, you've got system, apps, and vehicle. So under system, you can set the date and time here. Okay. Languages, this is where you can change language. You can look at the phones that are connected to your system. Wi-Fi networks, this is where you set up your Wi-Fi hotspot. You can take a look at your display here. I'm gonna go backwards one here, and if I go down here, I have sounds. So maximum startup volume. Okay, limits the volume of audio sources when you start your vehicle. So you can adjust that. Go back twice. Voice. All right, this is for voice command that we use like to plot the navigation course. So confirm more or less. Like if you do something, it always wants to give you feedback. So you want more of that feedback or less. Okay, we'll do that. So you can change the prompt length, audio feedback speed, and friendly prompts. But this is all to do with your voice command system. So when it talks back to you, that's how you make those settings. Okay, and then you just have, of course, updates. This is where you do automatic. This does have over-the-air automatic updates, so that is right there. And, okay, if you completely mess up, you can always go under Return to Factory Settings. Now, let's go under Apps for a minute. Android Auto and Apple CarPlay are both turned on, but if you're, for instance, an Apple family and you don't have an Android phone to save your life, you can just turn that one off and it won't show up. Okay? Or vice versa. All right, we can take a look at audio right here. You got tone. This is another way to get into what we already saw earlier. Okay, you can turn the Bose Audio Pilot on or off. Manage favorites. So you have a bunch of favorites. Well, here we are. We can say delete. Okay, or we can edit the name, or we can change where in the order of things it is. And you can do that for audio, you can do it for phone, and you can have navigation favorites as well. Okay, let's go back. Vehicle. All right, so you have Z mode and My mode. You can turn the engine sound here to Tour, Sport, or Track. You can change the steering to Tour, Sport, or Track. You can change the powertrain to Tour, Sport, Track, or Weather. And you can even change the brake response from Tour, Sport, or Track. Now, I'm going to go back here. I'm going to go to My mode. And you have a few different things here. You don't have as many choices, but you got engine sound, steering, and brake response. So a few less things in there. All right, collision and detection system. This is where a lot of your safety stuff is. So side blind zone alert. You don't want to leave that one on. It detects cars in your blind spot and your mirrors light up. So again, it's just a simple click on or off. Same thing with the rear cross traffic. Now, park assist, you can turn, that's like your parking sensors. They detect objects. You can turn that on or off right there. All right, comfort and convenience. Chime volume, reversed tilt mirror. So if I choose this one, then both the driver and passenger outside mirrors will tilt down in reverse and automatically tilt back up and drive. But if you've never used reverse tilt mirror, I'd encourage you to give it a try. It's actually quite a neat feature. I'm going to leave that off. Remote mirror folding. So you go to park somewhere and you want your mirrors to fold when you get out and close to turn off the car, turn that on. Okay. All right, you can go in here. You can also set up power door locks, remote lock and unlock. These are simple. Just click on them, read them, and then you can just go through and turn things on or off. But there's so much to cover. I need to keep moving. Ride height. Location-based auto lift. So that is turned on. the C8 Corvette has a system where it lifts the front end up to 2 inches so that you can clear obstacles like the speed bumps or something. But it can memorize up to 1,000 different locations, and all you have to do is when you get to one of those locations, you're going to press the lift button, which is up in front of the mode buttons, and it's going to ask you on your driver's information screen if you want to remember, okay? And then you simply press the left arrow to remember, and you press the wheel if you want to dismiss it. If you do nothing, it just disappears and doesn't memorize it. So that is just really neat, and it only takes 3 seconds to raise. So that is cool. So you're going to want to have that on. All right. So that is system, apps, and vehicle. Okay. Let's go back to home for a minute, and let's go right to the performance data recorder. In the glove compartment, there is, on the left-hand side, there is an SD card slot. Stick an SD card in there. It's going to use the front camera to record, so watch this. I want no overlays. I want to see a preview. So this is the front camera. It's in the windshield by the rear view mirror. It looks like this because we've covered it, because it's so bright out today. We want to try to get the glare off the screens. But this, you would see the road in front of you. Now watch what happens. You go, I want an overlay of sport. Now you've got data. And it will record and overlay the data for you. You can have track. Okay, so I'm gonna hit preview. Look at that. I mean, all that information in there. And then, of course, you can do timing and hit preview. And that's what it's gonna look like. Now, I mean, you can drive down your local block and have this thing recording. It'll record no matter what. And it records onto that SD card. It does it in a .gpx file format. Whatever you do, when you take the SD card out, don't erase that .gpx. You can rename the file. It's going to stamp it with a time and date. And then you can erase that part when you put it on your computer and rename it whatever you want. Drive number 1.gpx. Just keep the .gpx. But you can also view it right on the infotainment screen here as well. You can also do timing. So select track for lap time, okay? Custom track, or I can do select tracks or save tracks, but there aren't any in there. You can get them through the Cosworth Toolbox desktop software. So download that, and that's where you're going to get some of your maps. All right, let's go backwards. Recordings. Nothing here, but if you want to see something, this is where you go, and then you can click on it and view. You get play buttons right here. Settings. Audio recording. Do you want audio from your inside of your car to be on or off when you're recording? That's where you change that. Automatic recording. So this is kind of really cool, because not only can you go and turn it on and record track, but you can use it like a dashboard cam. So it'll just keep recording as long as the car is moving. Okay, it'll record, and when the SD card gets full, it'll simply go back and erase the first file, and keep doing that until you tell it to stop. All right, so I can configure here. I can say I want automatic recording video quality to be low, so I save more space. It's either 480p or 1080p. 1080p is going to take up a lot more room. Allow recording to overwrite the SD card. If you were going to use that for a dash cam, you'd probably definitely want to turn that on. And then you can also click allow only in valet mode. But I mean, there's just so many different things you can do. Now, again, I just think that would be so much fun. So that's just way cool. All right, little things that you can do there. All right, let's go back to home. And that is pretty much it. Let me show you just a couple of other things quick. If I click on time, do you notice it automatically takes me to setting the time? A little easier than the way I showed you earlier. Okay, and then you got outside ambient temperature down here. Again, these are shortcuts that'll stay up there most of the time, so you don't have to, scroll through and try to find them. They're just right there, the most commonly used things, and your home button. Okay, man, this has been fun. I hope that it's been helpful for you. Don't forget to click the subscribe button down below and ring that bell notification up above so you never miss one of our videos. Thanks for watching.